Hey, what's up, guys? Josh here. Welcome to the R-Rated Show. Welcome to my top 10 movies of 2019. I didn't see all the movies that came out. I didn't see all the good movies that came out. I just saw what I saw, and I saw a lot of movies. But I definitely had a top 10, and I want to share it with you. They're in an order that I place them in because they're the ones I enjoyed from least to most. But I enjoyed all these movies, but there's a hierarchy there. So you know, check out what I saw and let me know what you think of the movies I saw in the comments below. But all in all, I'd say 2019 was a good year for movies. It was kind of mediocre, but there were some big juggernauts in there. There were some movies in there that I thought were going to be fantastic that sucked, and there were some movies I thought would suck that were fantastic. So, yeah, not a bad year for movies. It's going to be interesting Oscars this year. But let's get started. Honorable mentions. I got a few. Haunt was really cool horror movie. Um, Sort of a just screwy haunted house type thing, and I thought, oh man, they've done this before, but it really surprised me how it was tricky, interesting, kind of a creepy movie made on a small budget, and different, and so it ended up being a really good movie. But it didn't make my list. But I'd say definitely check out the Haunt if you haven't seen it. Number four, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, was a movie I had heard about in the horror groups. And I was like, oh, yeah, it looks kind of cool. I'd seen the trailer, and I was like, it's only like a PG movie, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be terrible. I just thought maybe it'd be kind of like a kid's movie, but it was getting some good reviews, so I checked it out, and it was pretty cool. Had some great cinematography, great acting, great set pieces, and an interesting story that kind of kept you guessing. And some really creepy creatures. So yeah, definitely check out Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. Enjoyed that. Also, I Am Mother was a Netflix movie that came out earlier this year. A lot of Netflix kicked ass this year. I mean, Netflix is on it. They really delivered some good content. You'll see as we go along. But I Am Mother was sort of dystopic, futuristic movie about humans being displaced, robots taking over. Really cool robot suit, some cool CGI in here, but the robot suit is a practical man-made suit that the character wore, and it was a small scale movie, but really interesting character study. Just a thinker. I liked it. It was cool. So I definitely recommend checking that out. Also, we had The Highwaymen, which I think I saw all the way back in like March. And I haven't seen a Costner movie in a while. He sort of like disappeared from the landscape of, he doesn't do movies very much anymore. But when he comes out, dusts it off, I'm definitely there to see. He's teamed up with Woody Harrelson, who's, in his prime, I would say. And he's like cranking out movies left and right. I mean, he's a good actor, and, he's made a big name for himself. So these two paired up was an interesting aspect for me. And it's about, these two lawmen who are, one's retired, I think, and one's active. I don't know. They team up and they got to track down Bonnie and Clyde, take them out. And it's not really about Bonnie and Clyde so much as it is, that's like the backdrop, for these two characters to, get to know each other and explore some of their dark pasts together. And I just thought it was cool. It stuck with me. It was interesting. I was like, oh yeah, that movie was really good. I just think it deserved an honorable mention. So yeah, check that one out. We also got The Dirt, the Motley Crue biopic film, which really took a lot of liberties, I think, with the truth, but it made an interesting movie. It's based off Nikki Sixx's book, The Dirt, which I remember making some waves when it came out. Nikki Sixx is an interesting character. It's sort of like a rags to riches story from an abusive home, and he sort of just reinvented himself. And he really is sort of like the brilliant mind behind Motley Crue's music. I like Motley Crue a lot, but this, I sort of, like everybody else, kind of put them away for a while. And so this movie kind of brought Motley Crue back. And the movie is a lot of fun. It's definitely adult. It's very, graphic, and it's about like a 80s glam rock and roll band. But it's a lot of fun to watch. You can watch it over and over again. And that's another Netflix juggernaut. So definitely check out The Dirt. So starting the list, number 10, Child's Play. Now I know what you're thinking. Oh Jesus, a reboot? Are you fucking serious? And at that, it's Chucky. But I'm a big horror fan, and I saw the promos for this, and I was really iffy about it. He saw Chucky and he looked really strange. And, reboots usually suck because they're lazy, they're cash grabs. But this was different. It didn't really it reinvented Chucky in the sense that they made him a robot and he's not like a serial killer reincarnated in a doll. It's really the only way they could change it, make it different, have it work. I was fine with that, and I thought it actually added some interesting, elements to Chucky that I hadn't seen before. Mark Hamill did a great job on the voice. It's creepy, weird music in it. But it was just, I was in the theater, I went to go see it, and I was like, this is probably going to suck. But I just had a fucking blast. It was so much fun. I was like laughing my ass off at Chucky. It was just a good time, and that's really all I'm asking for from a movie is to be entertained. You take a movie like this and compare it to something like Joker. They're two totally different movies, but they both entertain me in a really memorable way. And that's why it edged its way onto the list at number 10. Chucky or Child's Play reboots. I would recommend checking out. I'll definitely be picking it up on Blu-ray when I have some extra dough to throw away. Number 9 will be El Camino. Now, if you're a Breaking Bad fan like me, I was addicted to that show on AMC, and it was just such a special show. Had its own authentic, unique vibe. Great actors, great compelling. It's one of the most compelling shows I've ever seen. And so spin-off stuff from big shows like that usually kind of are stale or flat. Just don't really recapture the spirit of the original. They ended up riding the coattails, Better Call Saul was a good show, but after 3 seasons, I just got tired of the character, and I know they're going to wrap it up at season 6. I think they just ended 5. So when I saw this, I was like, they're going to get into Jesse Pinkman's life here, and that could be interesting, but I've been starting hearing good things about it, so I checked it out. Another Netflix movie, obviously, and this was essentially like a feature-length, really good Breaking Bad episode. It just felt like Breaking Bad, essentially. And so it ties up a lot of loose ends from Breaking Bad, and, it definitely focuses on Jesse Pinkman. Walter White's just got a real brief in and out, but it was really compelling, just like the series was, and I really enjoyed it a lot. It was a lot of fun, so it definitely makes my list. At number 9, El Camino, Netflix. Number 8, Rocketman. I was surprised by this because I saw Bohemian Rhapsody, and I was really, really disappointed by that movie. It was just a cheap bubblegum version of what really could have been awesome. Freddie Mercury's life was really complicated. He was a very talented man who was in the closet, who died of, AIDS, and he had a complex life. And Queen was like this amazing, legendary band, and the whole thing was just really disappointing, cheap movie. Didn't like it. So I was kind of going into this with this came out like right after that, and I was like, oh, they're doing the same thing about Elton John. But I was intrigued because I like Elton John. I think he's an interesting character, and I want to learn more about his life. And it was really good. Like the first quarter of the movie, I was like, it's going to be a musical, and I don't really like musicals. And I thought they were going to get really heavy-handed on the politics, social politics, and all that. And it didn't really do a lot of that. It just talked about his life. And Taron Egerton did an amazing job as Elton John, and it was really cool because they talked about, Elton's life as just a normal person and his like tumultuous relationship with his family and with drugs and alcohol and, but just bringing this really brilliant figure and how he worked together with his lyricist. And it had energy to it. And I really enjoyed the character of Elton John in this. It was just a good movie. And I was like, wow, this is like, it was a really creative movie, and it also talked about the person's life, so it was a character study, and that it just accomplished everything that Bohemian Rhapsody could not do. So, yes, Rocketman was really good, so check that one out. Number 7, Dolomite Is My Name. Now, Eddie Murphy's been out of the game and just laying low for decades, and he's just been coming out again, trying to restart his career, interesting enough. I know he's going to be doing a stand-up special on Netflix real soon, and he's so sharpening his claws, getting ready to make his comeback. And I heard about this movie and I was like, that's just like a perfect little comeback movie. Another Netflix movie, by the way. Um, and I was like, I gotta see if Eddie Murphy still got the chops because when sometimes when people are out of the game for a long time, they just don't really. He kind of like faded into the background as like this legendary character, and now he's willing to come back. One second, guys. I'm digesting tacos. When I heard this movie was coming out, not only was it an interesting premise for a movie, but I love 80s Eddie Murphy, and I just wanted to see if Eddie could bring that talent back and be relevant again. And was not disappointed by this movie at all. It was a charming little movie about a character, Rudy Ray Moore. It takes place in the 70s. He was just sort of like this struggling musician, poet, and couldn't get a break. He just wouldn't give up, found his niche, and created this sort of little empire for himself in the 70s. And ended up getting into films and making this movie called Dolomite, which is a pretty famous movie, but just low budget, exploitation movie. But it's just about the character of Rudy Ray Moore and about how persistence pays off. And Eddie did a great job at making the character very likable. And I mean, he just he dug deep for his talent, brought it back out, unpacked it, and showed us. And it was a great movie. I really enjoyed it a lot. And I think Eddie's going to do great things. I'm really looking forward to Coming to America 2 and a stand-up special. I saw the SNL performance, which I was disappointed by. It felt like it was just tired. I wasn't laughing really at much of it, unfortunately. But that's like comedy, live show comedy. This could be different. I think he's going to find his way. I feel like Eddie's got enough going on to, make his comeback and, give us some more content before he really retires. So yeah, check out Dolomite Is My Name. Good stuff. Number 6, In the Tall Grass. This one snuck up on me. When I saw it dropped on Netflix, I was like, because Stephen King movies, this is a movie based off a Stephen King, I think, short story. So there was that too, and I was like, usually, I mean, Stephen King stuff can be or juggernaut, huge like It, or it can be like very meh, And so I just sort of skimmed past this movie many, many times on Netflix. Again, a Netflix movie. See a repeating theme here. And I was just bored one night. And I think I just said, I'll give it a try. And I watched it, and I was really sucked into it. And I thought it was a really authentic, interesting, unique little movie. Very like nightmarish. I like horror movies that get inside your head, and it just fucks with your head. And it just really was an interesting setting for a movie. And it's just like a living nightmare. And I just thought it was really cool. I sucked into it. It really creeped me out, man. In the Tall Grass on Netflix really left an impression on me. That's why it's my number 6. It was really good. Great acting too. Like, holy shit. But just really dark, but really cool. So definitely check out this movie, In the Tall Grass. Number 5, Ready or Not. Ready or Not. I saw the trailer for this movie before watching another movie over the summer, and I was like, that's a movie for me. I've got to go see it. Like, the trailer sold me on it. And it's just a sadistic comedy gore fest, It's the woman who plays the central character. It was fantastic. She did a great job. She, is this sort of doting fiance who just wants to marry her husband, who's, rich and comes from, this background of, I would say like an oppressive, wealthy family. And he, is just sort of a normal guy. And he's bringing her into that, and she's got her own fucked up shit from her past. And so they kind of like mesh in that way. And, they just want to be married and be happy, but there comes with a catch. And, she's there to meet this fucked up, and he knows what's going to happen. And essentially it's just like murderous. Every time a new person comes into the family, they have to play a game. And if you draw a certain card, that means you're going to be hunted and murdered, essentially. If you can survive until a certain time, and the next day I think it's morning, sunrise, then you're in the family, but you have to survive, and all the family members have different weapons and they're hunting you down. Interesting, sadistic, weird little storyline for a movie, a little backdrop for a movie, and the actress pulled off the role perfectly. I mean, she was a badass. Like, you could tell that she wanted to be one way, but when she was put in this scenario, like, her sort of true nature came out, and it was cool because there was a little bit of depth there, filled with twists and a very interesting ending. So it kept me guessing. A really good movie. Really enjoyed it. Gonna buy this one. Highly recommend. Ready or Not. Glad I saw it in the theater. Number 4 is Doctor Sleep. Doctor Sleep had big shoes to fill, following up on the juggernaut movie The Shining by Stanley Kubrick, of all people, who is a master in his own right. And I tell you, The Shining is one of my all-time favorite movies. Not only horror movies, but like movies in general. It's definitely probably my favorite Kubrick movie. But I was like, ooh, they're going to make a sequel to The Shining. I don't know if that's a good idea, but I sort of checked my expectations at the door. I had to go see it in the theater. And I'm glad I did, because it's a really good, well put together film, well directed. It's a different animal than The Shining. The Shining is a centralized, focused, simplistic movie. It's about 4 specific characters and 1 location and everything that's happening to them. This one's broken into 3 parts, so you get 3 sort of narratives happening, and they all kind of come together at the end. So it's a different type of movie. But Ewan McGregor did a good job playing Danny as an adult, and identifying him as this broken alcoholic like his father, who manages to climb his way out of that right as he's ascending into this, being with powers, and how it's being confronted by other beings with power, and just showing The Shining like we've never seen it before. The Shining, as in the powers that they have, and it's a pretty broad spectrum of a movie. It's got a lot of things happening, and it maybe it expands the lore of The Shining a little bit, which I enjoyed. There were some things in the third act that kind of were a little weird, like recasting characters and bringing back old characters, and I felt like they didn't really need to do that, but they made those choices. I didn't really agree, but the whole thing as a whole, I thought was a really good movie, considering it's a follow-up to one of the best all-time, best Stanley Kubrick movies, a legendary film. So I enjoyed it. Ewan McGregor did a great job. The little girl that's the supporting character in this movie, she did a fantastic job, and it was just great to see more Shining. I really enjoyed it, so I wasn't disappointed. I would recommend checking out this one as well. Number 3, The Irishman by Martin Scorsese, Al Pacino, Joe Pesci, and what's his name? De Niro. What's his name? Scorsese is a legendary director who is in his autumn, let's say. He's made a huge catalog of movies that were all fantastic. He's one of the only directors of his era that still makes films that are always really good. I always look at Spielberg. I mean, he's a legendary, one of the most famous directors that ever lived to walk the earth, right? But he's been making less than quality, not Spielberg-esque movies. I mean, I don't know what has happened. He sort of lost his touch. He's competent, but he hasn't really made anything that really I've enjoyed. And you look at Scorsese, and everything he does is just so fantastic. And when I saw this was coming out, and I heard that, it was going to have a huge budget, it was going to be 3 hours long, and it was going to be on Netflix, I was intrigued, obviously. And when I finally got to watch it, I was really sucked into it. It's just a character study. It's just all old men, but you're just sucked into the story. It's about, it takes place in over like 3 decades, but essentially it's about, the Teamsters in the 60s and a power struggle happening between, the leader of the union and the mobsters at the time, and the political climate and things that were going on in the country. But the mob itself were doing all these dealings and involved in that. And, you know, it's just really cool to see De Niro, Al Pacino, and Joe Pesci together again in a mobster movie. And it's probably the last time we're ever going to see this again from Scorsese. The acting, the characters, everything was great. My one gripe is that ILM, Industrial Light and Magic, they made a special computer program to de-age actors specifically for Martin Scorsese, because the one point of contention for him to make this film for Netflix was that he had to direct the movie uninhibited in any way by motion capture, and he just wanted to direct his actors the way he makes films. And I mean, I can respect that, but ILM came out with this, they created an all new specific technology to de-age De Niro, Al Pacino, and Joe Pesci, and it's like 85% of the way there. It's pretty good, but it's still uncanny valley. And they're also just pasting on young faces on old bodies, which was weird. But I would say after the first like 20, 25 minutes, and it's like a 3-hour movie, but after like a certain amount of time, I just got used to it and didn't think about it anymore. It didn't really bug me. I was just so sucked into the story of the movie. So I was able to suspend my disbelief watching that, but it is a little bit of a sore thumb. I don't know if they'll ever be able to get rid of that uncanny valley thing, but I mean, it wasn't terrible. It wasn't terrible, but it's noticeable, And I think it's just, maybe it doesn't help that we've all seen De Niro in his 20s and 30s, and we've all, as well as Pesci and, Al Pacino. So there's a little bit of a hump, but all in all, it was a great movie. Scorsese is still amazing. It doesn't have the punch that like Casino or Goodfellas has, but it's still a great story. And it's just I'm so grateful we still have directors making films like this that are getting some attention. Because, right now I feel like things are kind of in slump, but that's my number 3. My number 2, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Quentin Tarantino fucking hit a home run with this one as far as I'm concerned. Now, I love Tarantino. I love his fuck you attitude to everything. He just makes what he loves and wants to see in film. This is definitely a love letter to old school Hollywood in the 60s, during the Summer of Love, and Leo DiCaprio really fucking destroyed it. I mean, he just fucking crushed it in this movie. Like, I bumped him up a notch or two in my respect column as far as an actor goes, because I never really thought much about Leo. Like, I always kind of thought he was like a pretty boy actor like Brad Pitt, like just sort of, it's the eye candy, just a very sort of like meh actor who gets a lot of work and has been on all these great movies, but they never really challenged me in their acting or their roles. And he's been really cranking it up this last decade. Like, The Revenant was really cool movie, that was more of a physical thing for him. What else? There's another movie he did not too long ago that was sort of interesting story. It was The Wolf of Wall Street. He did some really interesting stuff in that. But this was really like where I felt like he really got into something, and really fucking delivered an awesome performance, man. I was like, fuck yeah. Like, I really enjoyed what he did in this movie. Brad Pitt, yeah, the character, see, Brad Pitt's one of those actors who needs to be in the right sort of movie to shine, be in the right environment. And so he's either really forgettable or he's really memorable. And this was one of the movies he was in that he was just like the character was perfect for him. And he did a great job as well. The character that he plays, which is the movie, is essentially about a washed up 60s TV actor who'd done some Italian Western films and was trying to make himself relevant again in a changing society, changing tastes. And, he's having severe anxiety about being left behind, and he sort of gets this second chance. Now, the other part of the movie is his sort of sidekick buddy, who is his stunt double, but he's also like his driver and his friend, and he wears many hats, but he's sort of this like Zen bachelor type character. And then the backdrop behind all that going on is the Summer of Love, and the things going on in the Hollywood Hills is the really witchy, weird things going on. in Hollywood at the time, and Charles Manson and his followers and this cult, and all the things that we know about the true life stuff. And so Quentin Tarantino masterfully weaves all this together, and he has this just fantastic toy box to play in, and he just really just hit a home run. It's a grand slam. I fucking love this movie. It was so much fun, and highly recommend this movie. I'm gonna pick it up on Blu-ray real soon. Great twist at the end, not what you expect. I like how he sort of re-envisions things. He's like, fuck it, I don't give a shit what really happened. I'm gonna tell my story, and he just makes fun movies. So yeah, this is really fucking good, and yeah, highly recommend. My number 2. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And of course, my number 1 is going to be Joker. How could it not be? This movie was so epic. I went and saw it on, I think, opening nights down in downtown Manhattan. And it was just, there was something electric about this movie before it even came out. There was a lot of controversy going on around it, talking about incels and gun violence and glorifying violence. And people trying to shit on it before it even came out. And, it was like all these weird warnings about possible shootings and rumor. And it was just really strange. I'm like, I'm going to go see this damn movie. I love the character of Joker. And it seems like it's got something to say. It seems like the director, Todd Phillips, did something out of left field. Like, he just took the character, and made it his own, and created something interesting. And I was like, that, when I saw the trailer for this, I was like, that looks really good. So I was more than happy to go see it in the theater and support it. And it was heavy, man. It was dark, deep, layered, character study. Joker like we'd never seen him before. Great screenplay. I mean, just awesome performance by Joaquin Phoenix. And I'd never been in a movie with a crowd. I mean, we were in the theater. It was packed full of people. A big theater, the AMC down in downtown New York. Just packed full of people. And just the reactions from the people when we were watching it were just like really visceral. And like, there's something that happens at the end. I won't ruin it if you haven't seen it yet. But there was just like this audible like gasp of horror when it happened. And it was just like, it really got in my head. It was really electrifying movie to see in the theater. And I just think it's a great movie. It deserves all the Oscar noms. It deserves the Golden Globes it won. Joaquin Phoenix is going to get Best Actor. This could possibly get Best Film. I'd be surprised if it doesn't. It got like 11 Oscar noms. It deserves it. And I called it too. I was like, when I reviewed it the night I got home after I saw it, I was like, this movie's going to get an Oscar. It definitely deserves an Oscar. And it's going to get a couple, I feel like. It might be the Mad Max movie of this year, Fury Road. Just a great movie. Fucking fantastic. So there were some really great films in 2019. And I'm not, I think it could have been a little better. There's been better years. Like I said, there were some movies that came out I was really looking forward to that were disappointing. But all said and done, 2019 shaped up to be a pretty good year. What'd you guys think? What were your favorite top 10 movies of 2019? Comment in the comment section below. Let me know your thoughts on the movies that I liked. And yeah, just give me some feedback. Let me know what you think. If you're a movie buff, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Give us a whirl. We're doing some great stuff on the channel this year. I have lots of fun stuff planned. More top 10s, more movie reviews, comic reviews, music albums, just pop culture stuff in general. All the things that I like, you probably like too. So go ahead and hit the subscription button, the bell for notifications, and leave comments. I love to read them and respond. And I always give shout outs to new subscribers on Movie Night Hangouts. So there'll be a new Movie Night Hangout coming out real soon. So just stay tuned. And thanks for listening. And as always, guys, stay awesome, stay R-rated. Cheers. Hey guys, if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. We've got a lot of great content coming for you this year. We've got reviews for movies, comics, and more. And of course, we will always have fan commentaries for the movies you love. Lots of talk about horror and just mainstream pop culture in general. And probably some Star Wars stuff leading up to Rise of Skywalker. So go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit the bell for notifications, and yeah, become a fan of the channel. Let's hear what you want to see. Leave a comment below, and just let me know what you think. Alright guys, talk to you later.